have done your undergraduate and internship and are now preparing for appearing in FCPS Part 1. Whether any of the discipline are you interested in your further studies, the patients with hypertension and hypotension are common in terms of their clinical presentation. So if a person has got more than 140 or in terms of systolic or more than 90 millimeter of mercury in 3 different readings, at least 1 hour apart, then only you label that person as hypertensive. If both blood pressures are increased, then this is called as the systemic hypertension, and then depends upon causes, we classify hypertension. Same is the case for hypotension. If somebody consecutively for 3 or more readings of 1 hour apart have got systolic blood pressure less than 90 or diastolic less than 60, then only you label a person as hypotensive. If a person has got blood pressure on a reading greater than 140 or 60 or vice versa, we just say that at that moment of time, the blood pressure of that person is raised or decreased, but we don't label him hypertensive or hypotensive till as per definition which are given by the international standards. This rise in the blood pressure or decrease in the blood pressure is continuously increased or decreased 3 times 1 hour at least apart. Is this clear?
Yes, sir.
So therefore, we should be knowing before labeling a person hypertensive or hypotensive the normal physiological range of systolic and diastolic blood pressure in a healthy adult. So the systolic blood pressure ranges physiologically, if everything is right, between 100 to 140 and diastolic between 60 to 90, the mean arterial pressure being 70 to 100 millimeter of mercury. So if a person don't have 120 by 80, but have 125 by 84, we don't call him or her as hypertensive because this is still within physiological range, and vice versa for a low blood pressure. By definition, the arterial blood pressure is the pressure exerted by the flowing blood on the walls of the blood vessel. If this is an artery, we call it an arterial blood pressure. If this is a vein, we call it a venous pressure. Is this clear?
Yes, sir.
Now, before we move on to the physiological regulation of normal systemic arterial blood pressure, which is divided into 2 main headings, which I'll be covering in next 1.5 hours or so, are short-term or rapid control of arterial blood pressure and long-term or slow control of arterial blood pressure. So short-term regulation of arterial blood pressure and the long-term control of arterial blood pressure. These are the 2 subheadings. These are the 2 mechanisms under which we classify various physiological mechanisms which take part in normal control and regulation of arterial blood pressure. So before I start the short-term regulation of arterial blood pressure, we know that during any emergency, and the emergency can be blood loss quickly, rapidly, with large volume of loss, or loss of the body fluid due to any other cause. For example, if the kidneys fails to retain the salt and water normally, acutely, if there is severe burns, which leads to decrease in extracellular fluid volume, there is hypotension, or any other sort of situation where there is a demand in terms of emergency, the first of the thing which we know comes in action within few seconds is the mass sympathetic discharge. And we know that sympathetic nervous system is important during fight, flight, and fright responses. It increases the blood pressure by the following mechanisms rapidly. One, it leads to, and we now know because we have done this, it leads to increased sinoatrial nodal stimulation. And if you remember, the sinoatrial node can become discharged between a rate 60 to 120 beats per minute. So therefore, mass sympathetic discharge will lead to a rapid increase in SA node stimulation, thus increasing the heart rate. It will also lead to increased force of cardiac contraction, which will increase the stroke volume and cardiac output. Sympathetic discharge and stimulation will also cause visceral arteriolar vasoconstriction. I hope you know that most of the viscera are innervated by sympathetic nervous system, including GIT, including the urinary system, etc. They all are supplied by alpha receptors. And in most of the viscera, other than the brain and the heart and the lung, and also the skeletal muscles, the main result of the sympathetic stimulation is arteriolar vasoconstriction. And this is through the neurotransmitter, which is noradrenaline. If there is rapid viscera means the organs, arteriolar vasoconstriction, there will be total peripheral resistance, which will be increased. And this will lead to the direction of the blood flow away from the viscera towards the vital organs and the vital tissue, including the brain and the heart. The fourth mechanism, which will come in action after sympathetic discharge to increase the systemic arterial blood pressure, is an important one, which we usually forget, which we don't give importance. This is increase in systemic venoconstrictions in the veins. And if there is venoconstriction, there will be increase in the blood stores and venous reservoirs. And this will again increase the extracellular fluid volume. Then we have done this in the first lecture with me, that sympathetic nervous system will increase the renal afferent arteriolar vasoconstriction in the glomerular capillary in relation to glomerular filtration. If the renal afferent arteriolar vasoconstriction occurs, there will be decrease in the glomerular filtration rate, and therefore there will be decrease in salt and water excretion. If salt and water is not excreted and retained, it will again increase the extracellular fluid. So by increasing the heart rate, stroke volume, cardiac output, total peripheral resistance, and the ECF volume, mass sympathetic discharge as a result of acute emergencies, which I have given the example, will rapidly increase the systemic arterial blood pressure, which will be the first and the most important mechanism of arterial blood pressure regulation short term. Any question before I proceed?
No, sir.
Is this clear?
Yes, sir.
Now, sympathetic nervous system, we know, is a part of autonomic nervous system. So the question arises that only the autonomic nervous system in terms of the sympathetic nervous system will take part in regulation of the normal arterial pressure. The answer is no. There is role also of the central nervous system. And when we talk about central nervous system, we include brain and spinal cord, we know. At the brain stem, and brain stem include pons medulla and midbrain. At the level of the medulla and the pons, there is a center which is called as vasomotor center. Vaso means vessel, motor means its contraction or dilatation in terms of muscle contraction, motor activity. So vasomotor center present in the brain will affect, and this is part of the central nervous system, will affect the regulation of arterial blood pressure short term. The vasomotor center contains 4 subcenters, and these are: 1, vasodilator area, and I'll talk about them individually in detail in some minutes to come. Vasoconstrictor area. These 2 are shown in the diagram, and the 2 which are not shown in the diagram are cardio-acceleratory area and 4th, cardio-inhibitory area. So these 4 areas, which include vasodilator area, vasoconstrictor area, cardio-acceleratory area, and cardio-inhibitory area. These 4 areas becomes the part of vasomotor center, which I said is present in which part of the brain?
Between pons and medulla.
Yes.
Brainstem.
Medulla and pons. Now, talking about these individuals in terms of their functional anatomy, and then I'll be referring it to their physiological role in short-term regulation of blood pressure. The first one, the vasodilator area, part of the vasomotor center. Vasodilator area is present in the frontal portion, which is called as rostral, of ventrolateral part of the medulla. So the frontal portion, the term uses rostral, part of the ventrolateral area of medulla, and this is called as rostral ventrolateral medulla. I again repeat, rostral, which means in front, ventrolateral, anterolateral, medulla. So this is the front part of the anterolateral portion of medulla, and the term used is rostral ventrolateral medulla. The short form is RVLM. So this vasodilator area shown in this diagram is present in the ventrolateral part of the medulla. Now, the most potent stimulus which directly stimulates the vasodilator area is any decrease in the blood circulation of oxygen concentration or any increase in the carbon dioxide concentration. As soon as there is significant decrease in the oxygen concentration in the circulating blood or increase in the carbon dioxide concentration in the systemic circulation, the vasodilator area will stimulate. As soon as vasodilator area stimulate, all of the peripheral blood vessels, especially the arteries, will become dilated. If the arteries becomes dilated, there will be rapid blood flow. If there is rapid blood flow, there will be decrease in the systemic total peripheral resistance. And if there is resistance decrease, the arterial blood pressure in the systemic circulation will decrease. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Now, this vasodilator area, as I said, which is present in the ventrolateral part of the medulla and is stimulated by hypoxia or hypercapnia, this has to be excited or inhibited by signals from the rest of the brain. So the signals which stimulate vasodilator area and thus will lead to decrease in the arterial blood pressure comes from cerebral motor cortex, cerebral limbic cortex, and I hope everybody remembers the role of limbic system, which is related to the control of your emotions. Posterior hypothalamus, periaqueductal area in the midbrain, somatosympathetic reflexes, which comes from the body receptors, pain pathways, and peripheral chemoreceptors, which I'll be talking in a moment. All of these areas send signals to the vasodilator area, which in turn, once become excited, will result in systemic arterial vasodilatation and thus decrease in total peripheral resistance and decreasing the arterial blood pressure. The vasodilator area, however, once become overstimulated, has to be inhibited also. So the inhibitory signals to vasodilator area comes from anterior hypothalamus, raphe nucleus, which is again present in medulla, another portion of the medulla which is called as, and I'll be referring this to again, caudal ventrolateral medulla. The first one was rostral. Rostral part of the ventrolateral medulla contained vasodilator area, and rostral was frontal part. Caudal is the part which is behind. So the portion which is relatively posterior in the ventrolateral medulla, it also sends signals which are inhibitory to the vasodilator area. And then the signals which are inhibitory comes from cardiopulmonary stretch receptors, which I'll be referring in a moment. Is this clear? That how does the vasodilator area, from where it gets the signals for stimulation or gets the signals for inhibition, and what is the result of the stimulation of vasodilator area, which is part of the vasomotor center? Is it clear to everybody? Because this is a very important concept, which I'll be referring in my next slides. Ji bete.
Yes, sir.
Now, the next thing which is affecting the vasodilator area is sudden increase in the intracranial pressure. Can somebody tell me what can be the acute causes of sudden increase in intracranial pressure within the brain? How does the pressure within the brain suddenly can increase? I hope everybody knows that like heart, like any other organ, brain has got its own internal pressure, which is called as intracranial pressure. So what can happen with Ji bete?
Intracranial tumors. Intracranial
Sir, in
tumors.
LP, lumbar puncture.
tumors जो हैं, वो तो acutely नहीं increase करेंगे ना, वो तो chronically करेंगे. Acutely एकदम कैसे? Within minutes to hours.
Hemorrhage,
Hemorrhage,
intracranial hemorrhage.
Hemorrhage, hemorrhage, or hemorrhage can be a result of
Trauma,
hemorrhage can be a
LP.
result of hemorrhage can be a result of any trauma to cerebral arteries due to increase in the arterial pressure or due to a rupture of an unknown aneurysm. So let's say if due to any acute hemorrhage, intracranial pressure suddenly rises, what will be its effect on arterial blood pressure? This will decrease the blood supply to the vasodilator area. If the blood supply to the vasodilator area occurs, would the vasodilator area become stimulated or inhibited? बेटा अगर किसी जगह की ब्लड सप्लाई खत्म कर दूं तो वो एरिया स्टिमुलेट हो जाएगा.
Inhibit होगा.
Inhibit हो जाएगा.
If the ventrolateral medulla, which was vasodilator area, due to decreased blood supply, care of increased intracranial pressure is inhibited, the result will be there will be decrease in vasodilatation and decrease in the heart rate. If there is decrease in vasodilatation, there will be more vasoconstriction, and this will increase the total peripheral resistance. This will lead to increased arterial pressure, and this is a reflex mechanism to save the other organs, and this is called as Cushing's reflex. This is an important compensatory physiological reflex which occurs due to increased intracranial pressure. Would it be beneficial for the brain itself, or brain has got already increased intracranial pressure, or would it inhibit the functions of the brain? अगर ब्रेन का आर्टीरियल ब्लड प्रेशर नॉर्मल के मुकाबले में एकदम बहुत ज्यादा हो जाए तो क्या ये अच्छी बात होगी ब्रेन के लिए या नुकसानदेह चीज होगी? What does your
सर नुकसानदेह होगी क्योंकि ब्रेन स्टेम जो है वो नीचे हर्निएट कर जाएगा.
And therefore it's not only the intracranial pressure which is going to affect in terms of the CSF circulation, let's say. By increasing the arterial blood pressure, the other blood vessels nearby, which will be having now increase in the arterial pressure as well as all other systemic circulation, will affect the brain function. Then the second area which I want to discuss with you is this area which is called as vasoconstrictor area. This is placed at a place which is anterolateral upper medulla. It receives preganglionic sympathetic neurons and has got a rich supply from this structure, which is called as RAS, reticular activating system. Have you heard about it before? Anybody knows something about reticular activating system, beta?
No, sir.
Have you heard the name?
Yes, sir.
Reticular activating system, as the name suggests, is present in the reticular formation, which is a network-like of structure again in the brain stem. And what happens once the system is stimulated? The name suggests its function. Once this reticular area in the brain stem becomes stimulated, it will lead to your more awakeness and alertness, will decrease sleep, and therefore has a role in wake sleep cycle. Have you heard about wake sleep cycle?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So more is a stimulation of reticular activating system. It will send signals to the vasoconstrictor area, which is also getting signals from preganglionic sympathetic neurons. If there is stimulation of vasoconstrictor area, there will be all over the body in the peripheral circulation increase in the systemic vasoconstriction. If vasoconstriction is there, would there be blood flow quick or will there be stasis in the blood flow? अगर मैं वेसल को ही कंस्ट्रिक्ट कर दूं तो ब्लड आगे जा पाएगा?
No, sir.
And therefore there will be increase in the resistance of the blood flow, which is called as increase in systemic total peripheral resistance. And I hope you remember the formula for arterial blood pressure, which is cardiac output multiplied by total peripheral resistance. Therefore, increase in systemic total peripheral resistance due to increased vasoconstrictor area stimulation will lead in increased arterial blood pressure. And this is again one of the mechanisms which will be going to affect the control of blood pressure short term. Then is the third area, which I just named a couple of minutes ago, which is called as cardioacceleratory area, again present in the vasomotor area or vasomotor center of the brainstem. Again, if there is increased stimulation of reticular activating system, which normally leads to increase in the alertness and awareness, decreases sleep, also directly stimulate cardioacceleratory area. If cardioacceleratory area is increased, there occurs as a result of this two changes. One, increase in the total cardiac output and increase in the heart rate. If increase in the heart rate and cardiac output, this will increase the arterial blood pressure. Then in the posterior lateral medulla, अब तक हम anterior lateral की बात कर रहे थे. Posterior lateral medulla and lower pons, there is a nucleus which is called as, and I hope everybody has heard its name and some of the functions. This is called as nucleus tractus solitarius. Have you heard the name?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
This
sir.
tractus solitarius is part of the cardioinhibitory area. Once cardioinhibitory area is stimulated, for example, due to vagal stimulation, which is a parasympathetic nerve, this will lead to inhibition of the SA node, decrease in the cardiac output, decrease in the stroke volume. And if all of this occurs, this will, in contrast to cardioacceleratory area, will decrease the arterial blood pressure. So therefore, vasodilator area stimulation, the result is decreased arterial pressure. The intracranial pressure, if becomes stimulated, care of Cushing's reflex increases arterial blood pressure by decreasing or inhibiting the vasodilator area. Vasoconstrictor area, which receives signals from reticular activating system and preganglionic sympathetic neurons. If this vasoconstrictor area stimulates, there is systemic vasoconstriction, thus leading to increase in total peripheral resistance and increase in the arterial blood pressure. Cardioacceleratory area, again, the most potent signal comes from reticular activating system, which controls our awake sleep cycle. If cardioacceleratory area becomes stimulated, there is increased arterial pressure, care of increased cardiac output and heart rate. If nucleus tractus solitarius, which is containing cardioinhibitory area, becomes stimulated, there is opposite effects. The cardiac output, stroke volume, and heart rate will decrease so as to decrease the arterial blood pressure. Is the role, location, and mechanisms of vasodilator area, vasoconstrictor area, cardioacceleratory area, and cardioinhibitory area, which are the 4 areas contained in the vasomotor center. Is the role and location clear? Because this is the main thing which controls, other than sympathetic nervous system, your short-term regulation of blood pressure. Ji
Sir,
beta.
could you please explain the role of the RAS in the vasoconstrictor area again?
बेटा रेटिकुलर एक्टिवेटिंग सिस्टम ये समझ में आ गया है कहाँ?
जी सर.
कहाँ पे है बताओ?
सर ये रेटिकुलर सिस्टम है.
कहाँ पे? ब्रेन के किस पोर्शन में है? मैं बार बार लफ्ज इस्तेमाल कर रहा हूं, ब्रेन स्टेम. एंड ब्रेन स्टेम कंटेन्स medulla, pons, and midbrain. So reticular activating system is present in medulla and pons. और मैंने क्या कहा कि रेटिकुलर एक्टिवेटिंग सिस्टम का मेन रोल किस साइकिल को कंट्रोल करना है?
स्लीप वेक साइकिल.
सो जब रेटिकुलर एक्टिवेटिंग सिस्टम स्टिमुलेट होता है, जब हम सो के उठते हैं तो उस वक्त हमारा रेटिकुलर एक्टिवेटिंग सिस्टम स्टिमुलेट हो जाता है, हमारी अवेकनेस को कन्वर्ट करता है अलर्टनेस में. जब सो के उठते हैं तो हम एकदम अलर्ट नहीं होते ना, कहाँ अलर्ट होते हैं? सो जैसे जैसे रेटिकुलर एक्टिवेटिंग सिस्टम स्टिमुलेट होगा, हमारी अवेकनेस और अलर्टनेस इंक्रीज होगी. और जैसे जैसे हमारी अवेकनेस और अलर्टनेस स्टिमुलेट होगी, इंक्रीज होगी, स्लीप कम होगी, साथ साथ ये रेटिकुलर एक्टिवेटिंग सिस्टम हमारे वेसोकंस्ट्रिक्टर एरिया को स्टिमुलेट करेगा और हमारे कार्डियो एक्सेलरेटरी एरिया को स्टिमुलेट करेगा. अगर रेटिकुलर एक्टिवेटिंग सिस्टम वेसोकंस्ट्रिक्टर एरिया को स्टिमुलेट करेगा तो पेरिफेरल ब्लड वेसल्स में क्या होगा? वेसोकंस्ट्रिक्शन या वेसोडाइलेटेशन?
वेसोकंस्ट्रिक्शन.
अगर वेसोकंस्ट्रिक्शन हो कि जब ब्लड फ्लो की रेजिस्टेंस बढ़ जाएगी या कम हो जाएगी? कंस्ट्रिक्ट हुई हुई आर्टरीज,
कंस्ट्रिक्शन बढ़ जाएगी.
रेजिस्टेंस बढ़ जाएगी. तो जैसे ही टोटल पेरिफेरल रेजिस्टेंस बढ़ती है, आर्टीरियल ब्लड प्रेशर बढ़ जाता है. कार्डियो एक्सेलरेटरी एरिया को जब ये स्टिमुलेट करेगा जो ब्रेन स्टेम में है, तो कार्डियक आउटपुट और हार्ट रेट बढ़ जाएगा. दोबारा जब भी आर्टीरियल ब्लड प्रेशर बढ़ेगा, लेकिन आप देखो इस दफा इसने कार्डियो एक्सेलरेटरी एरिया को अफेक्ट किया है, पेरिफेरल सर्कुलेशन को नहीं किया. वेसोकंस्ट्रिक्टर एरिया को जब इसने स्टिमुलेट किया था तो पेरिफेरल सर्कुलेशन को स्टिमुलेट किया था. इज इट क्लियर? Is the role of reticular activating system clear?
Yes sir, thank you.
So now I come and I'll be referring to the things which I have described till now in my coming lecture. So the first important reflex which is involved in short-term regulation of arterial blood pressure, which occurs within seconds to minutes, is called as baroreceptor reflex. Did you study it in your physiology in your first year, second year MBBS about this?
Yes, sir.
The baroreceptors are present in the carotid sinus, which is present in the internal carotid artery in the neck, and in the aortic arch. So this is shown the aortic arch, and these are the carotid sinuses. The carotid sinus contain the baroreceptors. Same is the case with aortic arch, which also contain the baroreceptors. These are stretch receptors, which are actually highly branched nerve endings. So in normal physiological operation, any slight change in the blood pressure, there is increased rapid stimulation of baroreceptors, and therefore baroreceptors will not allow excessive increase or decrease in the blood pressure, which is going in normal day-to-day circumstances, and therefore control our minute by minute changes in blood pressure. Now what happens is, from the carotid artery, internal carotid artery, where the carotid sinus is present, this give rise to a nerve. The signal goes from the carotid sinus into a nerve, which is not shown in this diagram, known as Hering's nerve. This Hering nerve takes the message to 9th cranial nerve, which is glossopharyngeal nerve. I hope you remember the 12 cranial nerves. From the aortic arch, which also contains the baroreceptors, the signals are sent to the vagus nerve, which is 10th cranial nerve. So baroreceptors are present where? किन दो जगहों पे?
Carotid sinus and aortic arch.
From the carotid sinus, the impulses will go to glossopharyngeal, which is 9th cranial nerve, and from the aortic arch, the impulses will go to the vagus nerve, which is 10th cranial nerve. अब ये stimulate कैसे होते हैं ये देखिएगा. So any rapid increase in systemic arterial blood pressure increases the distension in these internal carotid artery or aortic arch. If there is distension due to increase in the arterial blood pressure, there will be stretch of the baroreceptors contained in them. The impulses are now sent through cranial nerve number 9th and cranial nerve number 10th to vasomotor center. Now, the vasomotor center receives the impulses through dash and dash nerve.
Glossopharyngeal and vagus.
And in turn, vasomotor nerve center once becomes stimulated, it sends impulses through excitatory neurons, and the neurotransmitter is glutamate, to nucleus tractus solitarius. And do you remember what was nucleus tractus solitarius doing in vasomotor center? Was it containing vasodilator area or vasoconstrictor area?
Vasoconstrictor area.
So therefore, keep in mind what the nucleus tractus solitarius was containing. Now, once the nucleus tractus solitarius receive impulses from the vasomotor center, and these impulses are excitatory care of glutamate, the nucleus tractus solitarius becomes stimulated, and it sends signals to two places, and these are: one, caudal ventrolateral medulla, इसका नाम मैं पहले ले चुका हूं. 2, nucleus ambiguous, इसका नाम मैं अभी लूंगा. So what has happened? There is rapid increase in arterial blood pressure. The baroreceptors in the carotid sinus and aortic arch become stimulated. They send signals through glossopharyngeal nerve and vagus nerve to vasomotor center. Which place of the vasomotor center? Nucleus tractus solitarius. And these signals are excitatory care of glutamate neurotransmitter. Once the nucleus tractus solitarius receive impulses, it in turn send impulses to two places. Yahan tak clear hai? Ab tak sequence of events clear hai?
Ji, sir.
Now, once the nucleus tractus solitarius, which have received the impulses from the vasomotor center, once it sends signals to the first place, which is caudal ventrolateral medulla. Caudal ventrolateral medulla releases an inhibitory neurotransmitter, which is GABA, gamma aminobutyric acid. Have you heard the name of this neurotransmitter before?
Yes, sir.
Beta, have you heard the name of GABA before or not?
Yes, sir.
This is a neurotransmitter which is in any part of the body, including brain. Once it is secreted, it is always inhibitory. So the caudal ventrolateral medulla, after receiving signals from nucleus tractus solitarius, releases GABA, which is inhibitory. This GABA in turn inhibits the vasodilator area. Once the vasodilator area, which is rostroventrolateral medulla, which I referred in my earlier lecture, becomes inhibited, there is decrease in tonic sympathetic discharge. अगर sympathetic nervous system inhibit हो गया, सबसे पहले slide मैंने दिखाई थी, क्या results होंगे? हार्ट में क्या होगा अगर सिंपैथेटिक नर्वस सिस्टम इनहिबिट हो जाए? ऐसे नोट को क्या
डिक्रीज हो
होगा?
जाएगा, डिक्रीज हो
ऐसे
जाएगा
नोट को
सर,
क्या होगा? इनहिबिट होगा, स्टिमुलेट होगा?
Inhibit
Inhibit
होगा।
होगा।
अगर ऐसे नोट इनहिबिट होगा तो हार्ट रेट कम हो जाएगा। अगर फोर्स ऑफ कार्डियक कॉन्ट्रैक्शन सिंपैथेटिक नर्वस सिस्टम के इनहिबिट होने से कम हुई तो स्ट्रोक वॉल्यूम आउटपुट और कार्डियक आउटपुट को क्या होगा?
Increase करेगी।
Decrease हो जाएगा।
अगर हार्ट रेट, कार्डियक आउटपुट, स्ट्रोक वॉल्यूम आउटपुट डिक्रीज हो गया और एज अ रिजल्ट सिंपैथेटिक इनहिबिशन के सिस्टमिक आर्टीरियोलर वेजो कंस्ट्रिक्शन भी डिक्रीज हो गई, वीनो कंस्ट्रिक्शन भी डिक्रीज हो गई, टोटल पेरिफेरल रेजिस्टेंस भी डिक्रीज हो गई, सारी चीजें डिक्रीज हो रही हैं, तो जो ब्लड प्रेशर एकदम बढ़ गया था वो दोबारा नॉर्मलाइज हो जाएगा, बैक टू नॉर्मल. So the first effect of baroreceptor stimulation through this pathway by stimulating caudal ventrolateral medulla, which care of an inhibitory signal inhibits the sympathetic nervous system, and the inhibition of sympathetic nervous system due to all of the effects which you have just enlisted will decrease the arterial blood pressure back to normal. Is this clear? Anything which is not clear, I can explain again, but I'll not repeat it. So what is the first effect of baroreceptor stimulation in short? Baroreceptors, if become stimulated by increase in the arterial blood pressure, will send signals through the glossopharyngeal and vagus nerve to nucleus tractus solitarius, which in turn will send signals to caudal ventrolateral medulla, which inhibits the vasodilator area, which in turn affects and results in decreased sympathetic discharge, and thus heart rate, cardiac output, stroke volume, arteriolar vasoconstriction, venoconstriction, force of cardiac contraction, and total peripheral resistance decreases. All of them lead to decrease in arterial pressure back to normal. Is it clear? So baroreceptor stimulate ज्यादा ब्लड प्रेशर होने से होते हैं या कम ब्लड प्रेशर होने से होते हैं अब तक के डिस्कशन में?
सर ज्यादा.
Okay, so the next place where the signals are sent from nucleus tractus solitarius is this nucleus, which is called as nucleus ambiguous. This nucleus ambiguous is present in is a dorsal motor nucleus or vagus nerve. If nucleus ambiguous contains the motor nucleus of vagal nerve, if the vagus nerve becomes stimulated, care of stimulation of nucleus ambiguous, what will the vagus nerve will do on heart? Would it stimulate SA node or inhibit it?
inhibit sir.
Inhibit it.
Would it decrease the cardiac output or increase the cardiac output?
Decrease.
Would it increase the force of cardiac contraction or decrease the cardiac contraction?
Decrease.
Decrease.
And this all will lead to rapid decrease in arterial blood pressure. So the first effect in summary of baroreceptor stimulation, care of stimulation of caudal ventrolateral medulla, was inhibition of sympathetic nervous system. And the second effect through the stimulation of vagal nerve was again decrease in all parameters, which will decrease the arterial blood pressure. So either inhibition of sympathetic system or stimulation of vagus nerve, the effects will be common and they all will decrease the arterial blood pressure receptors back to normal. Is this sequence of events clear? Because baroreceptors are very, very important and will be repeated in next academic career of yours. Is it clear? And have you got now
जी sir.
idea how is baroreceptors related to the vasomotor centers?
Yes, sir.
The
Yes,
second
sir.
reflex, the first reflex, which was involved along with sympathetic nervous system in rapid control or short-term control within seconds to minutes in arterial blood pressure, was baroreceptor reflex. The second one, which comes in action R, is a reflex which is called as cardiopulmonary stretch receptors reflex. So these are stretch receptors present kahan pe? Endocardium of the ventricles, the walls of the right and the left atria, the pulmonary veins, entrance of superior and inferior vena cava. At all of these vessels and heart walls and surfaces are present these stretch receptors. And can you get the name why they are called as cardiopulmonary? क्यों? क्या ये सिर्फ हार्ट में है या लंग्स में भी है?
लंग्स में भी है.
Pulmonary veins. And therefore, once there is increase in systemic arterial blood pressure, this will again stimulate these stretch receptors called as cardiopulmonary. अब ये baroreceptors नहीं है, location फर्क है stretch receptors ही. Will lead to increase in distension of these receptors. What will be the result? One, there will be a stimulation of vagal nerve endings.
ये बंदा क्यों लेटा हुआ है? अच्छा वही इंजेक्शन वाला. मैंने कहा कोई और तोहफा आ गया है.
So therefore, any increase in the systemic arterial blood pressure causes stretch and distension of cardiopulmonary receptors, which will cause stimulation of vagus nerve and simultaneously inhibition of sympathetic discharge. And the mechanisms of decrease in the arterial pressure will be the same. That is heart rate, stroke volume output, cardiac output, systemic arteriolar vasoconstriction, venoconstriction, force of cardiac contraction, and total peripheral resistance will decrease. The effect is same as was of baroreceptors. So baroreceptors और cardiopulmonary receptors का अगर end result same है, तो फर्क क्या है दोनों में? Anatomical location का या mechanism का?
सर लोकेशन का.
Anatomical location का.
So baroreceptors were either in the carotid sinus, internal carotid artery और arch of aorta. अब वो देखो दोनों स्ट्रक्चर या तो नेक में है या चेस्ट में है. और ये कहां बात हो रही है? कार्डियोपल्मोनरी स्ट्रेच रिसेप्टर्स की या तो पल्मोनरी वेन्स में या एंडोकार्डियल सरफेस ऑफ वेंट्रिकल्स में, राइट लेफ्ट एट्रिया में, वेना कैवा की एंट्रेंस पे. लोकेशन फर्क है, हैं दोनों स्ट्रेच रिसेप्टर्स. और एंड रिजल्ट मैकेनिज्म आर्टियल ब्लड प्रेशर को जो बढ़ गया था नॉर्मलाइज करने का काम करके सेम है. इज इट क्लियर? Should I move forward, beta? Any query, any question before I move forward? Is the concept and difference between baroreceptors and cardiopulmonary stretch receptors clear?
Yes, sir.
Should I
Yes,
move
sir.
forward?
Yes.
Now, the second effect of cardiopulmonary stretch receptor stimulation is the signals goes to posterior pituitary gland to inhibit the secretion of ADH. एंटीडायरेटिक हार्मोन क्या करता है? यूरिन की एक्सक्रीशन बढ़ा देता है या यूरिन की एक्सक्रीशन कम कर देता है? डायरेसिस बढ़ा देता है, नाम है एंटीडायरेटिक. या यूरिन को
कम कर देगा.
जब कम कर देगा, अगर एडीएच को कम कर दूं मैं तो यूरिन की आउटपुट बढ़ जाएगी एडीएच कम होने से या कम हो जाएगी?
बढ़ जाएगी.
So therefore there will be decreased water reabsorption, there will be increased loss of water in urine, and if there is decreased water reabsorption, there will be in turn decrease in ECF volume and therefore decrease in arterial blood pressure. Simultaneously, cardiopulmonary stretch receptors send signals to renal afferent arterioles and causes their dilatation. If renal afferent arteriolar dilatation occurs, there will be increase in glomerular filtration rate. By arterioles dilate हो जाएंगे तो filtration blood ज्यादा जाएगा glomerular capillaries में या कम जाएगा?
ज्यादा जाएगा.
तो जब ज्यादा जाएगा तो glomerular filtration rate बढ़ जाएगा, water और salt की excretion बढ़ जाएगी, and again extracellular blood volume कम हो जाएगा, will lead to decrease in arterial blood pressure. So cardiopulmonary stretch receptors decreases blood pressure by the following four mechanisms. One, stimulation of vagal nerve. Two, simultaneous inhibition of sympathetic discharge. Three, inhibition of ADH. And fourth, increase in renal afferent arteriolar dilatation. These are the four physiological mechanisms stimulated care of stimulation of cardiopulmonary receptors so as to lead to decrease in arterial blood pressure back to normal. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
सर एक चीज यहाँ पे पूछनी थी, जब सॉल्ट की एक्सक्रीशन बढ़ेगी तो वो इंटर्न उसको रेनिन एंजियोटेंसिन को एक्टिवेट नहीं कर दे और उल्टा सॉल्ट एंड वाटर फिर और मजीद एब्जॉर्ब होना शुरू हो जाएगा?
बेटा ये शॉर्ट टर्म हो रहा है, रेनिन एंजियोटेंसिन लॉन्ग टर्म होता है. इट टेक्स hours to weeks for the renin angiotensin to become stimulated. This is going on between seconds to minutes.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
So till now, we have done the role of sympathetic nervous system stimulation in terms of short-term regulation. We have seen the role of baroreceptors, and we have seen the role of the cardiopulmonary stretch receptors. Next comes another mechanism involved in short-term regulation, which is called as CNS ischemic response. Central nervous system ischemia. Ischemia का क्या मतलब होता है? What is the difference between ischemia and hypoxia? What is ischemia? Can anybody tell me?
Sir,
And the
decrease
blood
blood,
supply is compromised.
और hypoxia क्या होता है?
decrease oxygen supply.
Decrease-
So as soon as there is ischemia, there will be three things. One, there will be increase in carbon dioxide accumulation. There will be increase in the anaerobic glycolysis and thus lactic acid formation. And also there will be decrease in oxygen concentration. So brain ischemia by these mechanisms, or if there is mean arterial blood pressure मैंने सबसे पहले दिखाया था, is about, in my first slide, is about 70 to 100 millimeter of mercury. Minimum कितना था mean arterial blood pressure? Mean, अब ये इस mean arterial pressure में systolic diastolic दोनों शामिल होते हैं. Minimum कितनी है इसकी?
60, 70,
70.
70.
If during acute severe CNS ischemia, if the blood pressure, mean arterial blood pressure becomes less than 60, which is the cutoff, which is less than the cutoff mean arterial pressure, will lead to the following two effects. One, which stimulate quickly, rapidly, within fraction of second. अब देखो ischemia कहाँ हुआ है? Brain में. और signal within fraction of second कहाँ जा रहे हैं brain से? कार्डियो एक्सेलरेटरी एरिया. कार्डियो एक्सेलरेटरी एरिया किस सेंटर का पार्ट था? रिमेंबर vasomotor center. बेटे remember I told you there are four areas in vasomotor center: vasodilator area, vasoconstrictor area, cardio acceleratory area, and cardio inhibitory area. Yes or no?
जी
Yes,
sir.
sir.
जी.
Yes,
So as soon as severe brain ischemia or decrease in mean arterial pressure less than 60 occurs, there will be stimulation in the vasomotor center of the cardio acceleratory area. Cardio acceleratory area stimulate हो गया, cardiac acceleration हो गई. क्या क्या चीज increase हो जाएगी? हम ये कर चुके हैं. Cardio acceleration, heart rate को क्या होगा? Heart rate को क्या होगा? Force of cardiac contraction को क्या होगा?
Increase
Stroke
increase
volume
जाएगी.
output को क्या होगा?
ज्यादा हो जाएगा.
और cardiac output को क्या होगा?
Cardiac output भी increase हो जाएगा sir.
So
और इस
if
तरह
all
BP
these
increase हो जाएगा.
increases due to cardio acceleration, there will be ultimately increase in the arterial blood pressure and will bring the mean arterial pressure back to normal, which is between 70 to 100 millimeter of mercury. The second thing which the ischemia will do, will immediately send signals to peripheral systemic discharge. वो nerve endings जो periphery of the body में है system, sympathetic nervous system की, and will also stimulate the vasoconstrictor area. The result is sudden increase in the systemic arteriolar vasoconstriction, resulting in increase in total peripheral resistance and thus increasing arterial blood pressure. So if somebody asks you, if the brain has got less blood flow acutely, इतना कम के mean arterial pressure 60 से कम हो जाए, तो वो arterial pressure दोबारा normalize back to normal from low to normal कैसे करेगा? Can somebody tell me? And this comes under the heading of CNS ischemic response, which is also called the last ditch to save the arterial blood pressure. कौन सी 3 चीजें stimulate कर दे CNS ischemia जिसकी वजह से arterial pressure जो कम हुआ था दोबारा normalize हो जाए?
So cardiovasculatory area,
एक,
vasoconstrictor area,
2.
Peripheral sympathetic system.
So it will also stimulate. The third one is it will also stimulate the sympathetic nerve endings present in the periphery, and all will lead to increased cardiac output, heart rate, peripheral resistance, and thus ultimately increase in
ischemia,
blood pressure
Blood
increase.
increase in arterial blood pressure. The result and the end result is जब cardiac output बढ़ गई, heart rate बढ़ गया, total peripheral resistance बढ़ गई, तो क्या होगा? arterial blood pressure को बढ़ जाएगा, दोबारा normalize हो जाएगा या कम रहेगा?
increase हो जाएगा.
Back to normal. So the third one, after baroreceptor reflex and cardiopulmonary stretch reflex, is CNS ischemic response. Is it clear till now?
Yes, sir.
And the last one in terms of short-term regulation is peripheral chemoreceptors. Chemo का क्या मतलब होता है? कीमो से क्या लफ्ज आ रहे हैं?
Chemical release,
केमिकल्स. और बैरो का क्या मतलब होता है?
pressure,
So baroreceptors stimulate हुए थे प्रेशर चेंज की वजह से. जो पेरिफेरल कीमोरेसेप्टर्स हैं वो स्टिमुलेट होंगे किसी केमिकल के चेंज की वजह से. ये हैं कहां? So the first location is carotid body, which is in the bifurcation of common carotid artery, again in the neck, and aortic body, which is in the wall of aorta. Remember, baroreceptors were in the internal carotid artery, not in the bifurcation of common carotid artery, and they were called as carotid sinus, not carotid body. Similarly, the baroreceptors were in arch of aorta, not in the wall of aorta. So the location of baroreceptors and chemoreceptors is different, although the name is carotid and aortic body. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
yes sir.
So what are the chemical changes in the blood circulation which may stimulate peripheral chemoreceptors? And these are any decrease in oxygen concentration in the circulating blood, which is called as hypoxemia. Any increase in carbon dioxide concentration, increase in hydrogen concentration, and hydrogen concentration अगर increase होगी तो acidosis हो जाएगा या alkalosis हो जाएगा?
Acidosis.
pH कम हो जाएगा या बढ़ जाएगा?
कम हो जाएगा.
These all or decrease in arterial blood pressure stimulates the peripheral chemoreceptors. Peripheral chemoreceptors जैसे ही stimulate होंगे will send the signals to lung to increase the ventilation. अगर ventilation increase हो गई और carbon dioxide remove होने हो लगी, तो carbon dioxide अगर remove होगी तो blood में concentration कम हो जाएगी या बड़ी भी रह जाएगी?
कम हो जाएगी.
अगर ऑक्सीजन जो कम थी वेंटिलेशन तेज हो गई तो ऑक्सीजन अंदर ज्यादा आएगी या कम ही रहेगी?
ज्यादा आएगी.
You remember that reaction carbon dioxide plus H2O gave rise to carbonic acid which dissociates into hydrogen and bicarbonate. अगर कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड ज्यादा रिमूव होगी तो हाइड्रोजन भी ज्यादा रिमूव होगी या हाँ या ना?
Yes, sir.
And therefore all of these will be corrected through increase in pulmonary ventilation. And the second result of chemoreceptor response is it will stimulate the vasoconstrictor area, will lead to increase in systemic vasoconstriction, thus increasing the total peripheral resistance and increase in arterial blood pressure. So two mechanisms by which chemoreceptors care of increased carbon dioxide, decrease oxygen, increase hydrogen concentration, decrease pH, or decrease arterial blood pressure will lead to the increase in the blood pressure back to normal is by systemic vasoconstriction and by increasing the pulmonary ventilation. So what five main mechanisms have we talked about under the heading of short-term control of arterial blood pressure? Number one was stimulation of which nervous system?
Sympathetic.
Systemic,
Sympathetic.
sympathetic nervous system. The second one was dash reflex through the stretch receptors present in the carotid sinus and in the aortic arch. The third one was
Baroreceptor.
stretch receptors present in the heart and the lung. Reflex was called as
Cardiopulmonary stretch. Cardiopulmonary.
fourth one, which was care of receptors, but this time chemical receptors. The response is called as fifth one, the chemoreceptor reflex. Is it clear?
Yes.
I again
Yes,
repeat and summarize. Stimulation of sympathetic nervous system, baroreceptor reflex, cardiopulmonary stretch reflex,
CNS is
CNS ischemic response, and peripheral chemoreceptor response. These are the headings which we have covered till now under the heading of dash term control, short term or long term.
short term.
Short-term control.
Short term control in 5 mechanisms से sympathetic nervous system, baroreceptors, cardiopulmonary receptors, CNS ischemic response और peripheral chemoreceptors. ये दिनों में होगी या within minutes, within seconds to minutes हो जाएगी?
Seconds to minutes.
And this was my first part of the lecture, which is called as short-term regulation of blood pressure. Physiological short-term regulation of blood pressure. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
The second part I'll start after 5 minutes break, where I'll be talking about the kidney. किसी ने अभी नाम लिया था, and this will be long-term regulation of blood pressure. इसमें एक ही mechanism है, which is intermediate or long-term, comes in action after hours to weeks. And this one is called as dash, dash, dash.
Renin-angiotensin
Renin, angiotensin, aldosterone.
Mechanism. So I'll be referring to this in my next 20 minutes or so after 5 minutes of break, which will end the lecture on short-term and long-term regulation physiological of arterial blood pressure. So 5 minutes break. This is by my watch exactly 30 past 12. तो हम दोबारा मिलते हैं एक ब्रेक के बाद after 35 past 12. Would you be there after 5 minutes?
Yes, sir.
Do you
Yes,
need a
sir.
break? Okay. Do you need a break?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So at 35 past 12.
Okay.
Okay, sir.
Okay, Assalamu alaikum again. Can you hear me?
Walaikum salam, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So starting with the last portion of my lecture today, which is the long-term regulation of arterial blood pressure by physiological mechanism. And as I said, this is intermediate to long-term because it takes minutes to weeks to come in action. And this is called as renin, angiotensin, aldosterone system. Can somebody tell me what your background knowledge is about renin or angiotensin or aldosterone? Anyone? What is renin? कहाँ से आता है? Which organ?
रेनिन
renin?
हार्मोन है सर और ये किडनी से आता है.
कुछ बताए आपको क्या करता है ये? It converts what to what?
Vasoconstriction.
Angiotensin 1 into angiotensin 2.
Angiotensinogen to angiotensin 1.
ठीक है. So once angiotensin 1 is formed under the influence of renin, what does angiotensin 1 do? Can it do the vasoconstriction directly by itself?
No.
No, sir.
aldosterone system के जो.
No,
Yes, sir, it can.
angiotensin 1 can do the vasoconstriction, but it is not potent. It is very weak.
Aldosterone dependent.
So angiotensin has to be converted into angiotensin 1 has to be converted into angiotensin,
2.
and this occurs in
Lungs.
lungs. Why? Why? Because the converting enzyme, which is called as angiotensin converting enzyme, is present in the endothelium of pulmonary capillaries. So in the lung, the angiotensin 1, once it's formed, I'll start the story from the beginning. I was just getting the cue that you know something about or no. So how does the renin angiotensin aldosterone system becomes activated? Renin is an enzyme which is present in the renal juxtaglomerular cells. And I do remember I showed a diagram in my first of the lecture in the renal system. Remember? Macular densa भी दिखाया था.
Yes, sir.
So renin is the enzyme which is secreted from the juxtaglomerular cells, which are modified smooth muscle cells in the walls of renal afferent arteriole. Renin originally is in the form of inactive protein, which is called as prorenin. The plasma half-life of it is 30 to 60 minutes. Whenever there is decrease in the blood volume, can somebody give me some conditions in which the blood is lost gradually in weeks? Blood volume कम होगा लेकिन एकदम नहीं कम होगा. ये रोड ट्रैफिक एक्सीडेंट नहीं है, आहिस्ता आहिस्ता कम होगा. Can you think of a condition जिसमें abnormal excessive bleeding होने लगे?
Sir,
ब्लड वॉल्यूम की बात हो रही है बेटा, हीमोग्लोबिन की बात नहीं हो रही.
सर इसोफेजियल वाराइसिस कोई भी डिस्टिल्ड में होता है, कोई भी मेलिना वगैरह, अल्सर वगैरह.
Sir, hemorrhoids.
हेमोरॉइड्स वाराइसिस अल्सर
Hemorrhoids में होगा. Can these be related to female menstrual cycles?
Yes, sir.
हेमोरेजिया.
So any condition which leads to decrease in the blood volume, which is related to ECF volume, or decrease in the renal blood flow, or slow decrease in the arterial blood pressure, will result in a decrease in the stretch in renal afferent arteriole. Decrease in the stretch in the renal afferent arteriole, whose wall contains the is present in the endothelium of pulmonary capillaries. So in the lung, the angiotensin 1, once it's formed, I'll start the story from the beginning. I was just getting the cue that you know something about or no. So what does, how does the renin-angiotensin-aldosterone system becomes activated? Renin is an enzyme which is present in the renal juxtaglomerular cells. And I do remember I showed a diagram in my first of the lecture in the renal system. Remember? Molecular densa भी दिखाया था.
Yes, sir.
So renin is an enzyme which is secreted from the juxtaglomerular cells, which are modified smooth muscle cells in the walls of renal afferent arteriole. Renin originally is in the form of inactive protein which is called as prorenin. The plasma half-life of it is 30 to 60 minutes. Whenever there is decrease in the blood volume, can somebody give me some conditions in which the blood is lost gradually in weeks?
Recording in progress.
Will result in decrease in the stretch in renal afferent arteriole. Decrease in the stretch in the renal afferent arteriole, whose wall contains the juxtaglomerular cells, will release the renin. How? It will convert prorenin into renin. तो prorenin की फॉर्म में है inactive. जब तक blood volume कम
Recording in progress.
enzyme, which is present only in the pulmonary endothelium into angiotensin 2. Angiotensin 2 increases arterial blood pressure by following 3 mechanisms. And I'll go slow. 1. Angiotensin 2 is a very, very strong, powerful, systemic arteriolar vasoconstrictor. If there is
Recording in progress.
तो क्या ग्लोमेरुलर कैपिलरीज में ब्लड फ्लो बढ़ जाएगा या कम हो जाएगा? जब कम हो जाएगा तो ग्लोमेरुलर फिल्ट्रेशन रेट कम हो जाएगा. And once the renal afferent arteriolar constriction leads to decreased GFR, there will be salt and water excretion decreased. If salt and water excretion decrease, the salt and water will be retained within the body, thus increasing the extracellular volume of the blood volume and increasing the arterial blood pressure. So दोनों तरह vasoconstriction के जरिए से उसका blood pressure बढ़ाया. First vasoconstriction was all over the body. Arterioles of all of the periphery of the body, which increases total peripheral resistance. So angiotensin पहले तो पूरी body की periphery में मौजूद arterioles को constrict करती है. Total peripheral resistance बढ़ गई और systemic arterial blood pressure. The second, it causes constriction, but now where renal efferents. If the renal efferent arterioles are constricted, there will be decrease in glomerular blood flow, decrease in glomerular blood pressure, decrease in salt and water excretion or retention of salt and water, and thus again increasing the ECF volume, leading to increased arterial blood pressure. Last one, it sends signals to adrenal cortex. ये गलती से मेडुला लिखा हुआ है, adrenal cortex है. Salt and water from cortical collecting duct and late distal convoluted tubule. ये मैं अपने पहले लेक्चर में renal reabsorption के पढ़ा चुका हूँ. If there is increased salt and water reabsorption from cortical collecting duct and late distal convoluted tubule, what will happen to the urinary output? क्या urinary output अगर reabsorption बढ़ा तो urine output बढ़ जाएगा या कम हो जाएगा? Therefore, increase in renal absorption will decrease urinary output, but increase salt and water retention in the ECF, and therefore ECF volume will increase, thus increasing the arterial blood pressure. So, decreased blood volume overall, decreased renal blood flow, or decreased arterial
हुआ है तो बीपी नॉर्मलाइज बाय बैरोरिसेप्टर.
जी आपको याद है मैंने बैरोरिसेप्टर के उसमें आपको एक ये जुमला पढ़ा बोला था, द मिनट टू मिनट चेंज इन द नॉर्मल ऑपरेटिंग रेंज इज कंट्रोल्ड बाय द बैरोरिसेप्टर रिफ्लेक्स. जी बेटा, जब इंसान लेटा हुआ होता है, लाइंग पोजीशन में होता है, तो उसका ब्लड प्रेशर, उसका जो ब्लड डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन है वेन्स में, वो जो वेन्स हमारी लिम्स की तरफ है, लोअर लिम्स की तरफ और चेस्ट की तरफ एक ही जैसा ब्लड फ्लो है. लेकिन जब मैं लाइंग पोजीशन से स्टैंडिंग में आऊंगा तो मेरा ब्लड फ्लो ग्रेविटी की इफेक्ट की वजह से किस तरफ ज्यादा चला जाएगा? फुट की तरफ या चेस्ट की तरफ?
फुट की तरफ.
जब फुट की तरफ जाएगा तो ब्लड प्रेशर जो है वो फर्क होगा लाइंग पोजीशन के मुकाबले में, क्योंकि अब जो वीनस रिजर्वॉयर है टुवर्ड्स लिम्स और टुवर्ड्स हार्ट वो फर्क हो गया ना. ज्यादा अब जो ब्लड रिजर्वॉयर वेन्स का था वो किस तरफ शिफ्ट हो गया है? उसका टोटल वॉल्यूम लिम्स की तरफ, लोअर लिम्ब की तरफ. सो देयरफॉर जैसे ही मैं लाइंग कंडीशन, अब ये नॉर्मल आदमी के हो रहा है, लाइंग कंडीशन से स्टैंडिंग में उठ रहा हूं, ये कितनी देर में हुआ? मैं जब लेटा हुआ हूं, लेट के उठूंगा कितनी देर लगेगी? घंटों लगेंगे या सेकंड्स लगेंगे?
फ्रैक्शन ऑफ सेकंड्स.
जब सेकंड्स लगेंगे तो बैरोरिसेप्टर स्टिमुलेट हो गए, तो अब बैरोरिसेप्टर्स क्या करेंगे? फौरन ही मैसेज भेजेंगे. अब बैरोरिसेप्टर्स जैसे ही, देखो बैरोरिसेप्टर स्टिमुलेट कैसे होते थे? सिस्टमिक ब्लड प्रेशर बढ़ने की वजह से ना. अब बैरोरिसेप्टर्स को क्या होगा? ब्लड प्रेशर बढ़ा नहीं है, कम हो गया है ना. बेटे जब मैं लेटे में होता हूं, लेटे के मुकाबले में खड़ा होता हूं, तो अब मेरा ब्लड प्रेशर को उस हिसाब से एडजस्ट होना है. तो बैरोरिसेप्टर्स को क्या होगा? स्टिमुलेट होंगे, इनहिबिट हो जाएंगे?
स्टिमुलेट हो जाएंगे.
तो जैसे ही वो स्टिमुलेट होंगे तो मैकेनिज्म्स पढ़े ना हमने, तो वो स्टिमुलेट होके जब ये मैकेनिज्म्स थे ना, सिंपैथेटिक डिस्चार्ज को कम कर देंगे, वेगस नर्व को स्टिमुलेट कर देंगे. ये हमने सारे मैकेनिज्म्स पढ़े थे ना बैरोरिसेप्टर्स के हिसाब से. तो वो ब्लड प्रेशर को एक खास हद से ज्यादा बढ़ने नहीं देंगे. तो लेट सपोज अगर ब्लड प्रेशर आपका लाइंग कंडीशन में 120 और 80 था, तो अगर आप खड़े हुए और थ्योरेटिकली स्पीकिंग ब्लड प्रेशर को 130 हो जाना था और नीचे वाले को 90 हो जाना था, तो वो 130 और 90 नहीं होने देगा. It will change the blood pressure, let's say from 120 to 122, and this is a suppository figure, and from 80 to let's say 84. So ये within physiological range रहा, तो क्या arterial blood pressure normal के मुकाबले में बहुत excessively बढ़ पाया?
नो सर जी नहीं.
और ये कितनी देर में हो रहा है? Within seconds. And this is how the baroreceptors will prevent the increase in the blood pressure from lying to standing condition. Is my answer clear?
जी सर, शुक्रिया सर.
Any other thing, bete? If not, thank you from my side. This was my last lecture in this course, and I hope that you may have revisited and learned something new also, and I have enjoyed my lectures. Please give the feedback. I have tried to be simple and revising and repeating, and all of the materials which I have tried to give you comes from the textbook of Guyton. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Thank you so
sir.
much.
Thank you, beta. And best of luck for your further exams and future.
God bless you, sir.
Thank you.
Sir, do you have any email if we get confused in something, can we email you?
Yes, so you can write it to CPSP, to Dr. Shahid Parvez and CPSP. I hope everybody has got the email address of CPSP.
Yes,
Yes or no? And they will forward me your questions and I'll try to answer them through the email.
Sir, do you not have any personal email address?
But I am not representing Aga Khan University here. This is an invitation individual. Although I am a faculty at Aga Khan University, this is an invitation to me from CPSP, not through Aga Khan University. Although I am coming from Aga Khan, so therefore I can't provide you my official email address of AKU. Any questions, any query, anything which is not clear, you can write an email, ask the persons involved here to forward this email to me, and I'll answer that ASAP, as soon as possible. Okay?
Okay, sir. Thank you so much.
End of the session. We'll meet tomorrow, inshallah.